Good morning. That rainstorm was crazy last night. Sitting here in my robe still, my jams. Got my oatmeal. Blueberry. Thought I'd do a couple problems with you on Wednesdays to see, how it's going. Good job to, was it Alyssa, Daz, Juan? You guys have already submitted work on Edmodo, so keep it up, keep it coming. Easy 100s. I'm really proud of you guys. All right, so let's look at this worksheet for today. Turn my morning music down. All right, so the first two, I'll just get you started on it and then you can check the answer key to make sure everything's good to go. This is vertex form, so just by looking at it, you can see which way to go. So this is left 3, down 4. So if you're going left 3, down 4, that's your vertex. So for your x, y, that's where you're going to start your table when you type it in, right? So you go to your table, you edit that function in, and you tell it to start at -3, and then you'll be able to get all the points to graph it. Number 2, it's not in vertex form, so you got to do this opposite b over 2a equation to get yourself going. So the b here is 4, so we do the opposite of 4. 2 times the a is -1. So -4 divided by -2 is +2. So in your chart, all right, that's the beginning of what your vertex is. This one's a little different from number 1 because we don't know what the y value is yet. All right, that's what your calculator is going to do for you when you type it in for the table, and you'll get the rest of your points. Down here, you've got that quadratic formula. Alrighty. Ooh. All right, so I want to do 4. 3 is a little easier, but 4 is harder because it's not set equal to 0. This has to be a 0 before you proceed. So I'm going to -8 to this side. You have v squared minus 11v minus 102. Now you're ready to go. So the opposite for b would be a +11. The b squared, so -11 squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times the a. The a here is an invisible 1, right? It's 1v squared. So again, your calculators are going to be really helpful for this section. You'll hit that fraction button, and then you'll do the plus first. Make sure you're using parentheses, otherwise it doesn't read it right. And if you have any problems with typing it in, I'll be on Zoom today with Miss Jackson, so if you want to come talk to us or show us your calculator, whatever, just come say hi. All right, so the first answer here comes out as a 17, but then you have to backtrack and do the minus option. So you go back up, hit enter, you arrow back over. There we go. And we change that to a subtract. And there you go. So your answer is a 17 and a -6. All right. Moving on. The next section is that factoring section. When you're factoring, yes, it has to be set equal to 0 to start, which these are, so we're good to go. But you want to start at the last number for factoring. Looking for the 2 numbers that multiply to 12. So you make a quick list. So out of those pairs, which ones add up to a 7? The answer is the 3 and the 4. So when you find the puzzle, right, the solution to your puzzle, then you're ready to break it up into your parentheses. This n squared gets split up into n and n. Then the 3 and the 4 take care of the 7 and the 12. So we put +3, +4. Now we're ready to solve it. You've got this first parenthesis and then this second parenthesis called factors. The opposite of adding 3 is subtracting 3. So right here n would be a -3, and then over here n would be a -4. So those are the 2 places that your parabola crosses on the x-axis. All right. more factoring problems. Let me jump to number 9. All right, notice number 9 is not set equal to 0, so we have to move that first to the other side. So you get r squared plus 5r minus 14 equals 0. Then you're looking for factors of 14. So we have 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. Out of those two options, it's got to be here, right? We got to get a 5. So if you do 7, take away 2, that gives you that 5 that you're looking for. Get your parentheses ready. So r squared splits up into r and r. Then you have a positive 7 and a negative 2 for the puzzle. So this would be a negative 7. Negative 7 plus 7 gives you the 0. Or you could have a positive 2, right? Because 2 minus 2 gives you that 0. All right. Next one, solving by square roots. That's when you go backwards on PEMDAS. All right, so you want to start with addition, subtraction, and then work your way that way. So I need to move this negative 7 with addition. Let me grab my calculator. I haven't finished my coffee or my oatmeal. I can't do math. You crazy? That storm kept me up all night. My dog was hiding under the bed. It was ridiculous. All right, so you have negative 275. So then the next on the list going backwards is division and multiplication. And right here you have negative 5 times n squared. So the opposite of times is divide. So now you have n squared equals 55. Next up is parentheses and exponents. Exponent, yeah, I've got a square here. We've learned that the opposite of squaring is square rooting. So you're going to square root that thing. The square root of 55, yeah, check it out. The square root of 55 doesn't reduce at all. You could write the decimal, but ew. Who wants to write a decimal? Ew. So I'm just going to leave it. So this is just plus or minus the square root of 55. Remember, it's positive or negative because a negative times a negative for that square is a 55. All right. Okay. Down here, completing the square. This is the one where you create a monster. Kind of like me in my morning hair. It's kind of fun. Jammies. All right, so you have p squared plus 16p, and what we want is a blank here. So that means 33, you gotta move. Move 33, so the opposite of negative 33 is to add 33. So I'm gonna add it to the other side, right? Get it out of there, keep it balanced though. So this becomes 39. All right, now we create the monster. You always go to this middle term, right? It's the linear term with the single variable on it. And you cut it in half. Ew, cut it in half. It's so gruesome. And then you square it. Hence the name complete the square. So half of 16 is 8. 8 squared is 64. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I'm going to make sure that 64, this monster that I created, is balanced out on both sides of the equation. All right, now we do some factoring. What two numbers multiply to give you 64 and add to give you a 16? 8 and 8. I hear my dog coming down the stairs. Good morning, Lily. All right, so we have 8 and 8. And then over here, 39 plus 64. What kind of number is that? That's 103. All right, you can rewrite this p plus 8 times p plus 8 as p plus 8 squared because there's two of them. And that's going to help us right here with the solving part, right? We want to solve for p. So to get rid of the square, we're going to square root that thing. The square root of 103 is just 103. So I'm going to leave it. I don't want the decimal. Decimal, ew. So we have p plus 8 equals plus or minus the square root of 103. All right, then minus the 8 to the other side. I'm out of room. All right, right over here. So my final answer for p, now the 8 is moved over here, is negative 8 plus or minus that square root of 103. Again, I know it's a weird way to write your answers, but in math, we call this the exact answer. No decimals, no rounding. This is the exact answer. Let me do one more. If you're good, then you can move on and start checking yourself on the answer key. Let's go ahead and do 16. All right, we got to get this over here, so we have x squared minus 14x plus blank. So the opposite of minus 74 is to add 74. So negative 2 plus 74 is 72. All right, now to create the monster. Half of 14 squared, so half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. Then we do some factoring. The two numbers that multiply to give you a 49 and then add up to a negative 14, we want to make sure it's negative 7 and negative 7, right? When you add two negatives, it stays negative. And then over here, 72 plus 49 is 121. You can rewrite this as x minus 7 squared. And the reason why we want to do that is so that we can do the square root that thing. All right, so now you're going to be left with x minus 7 because the square and the square root cancel each other. And then the square root of 121, that does come out. Look at that. Square root of 121 is 11. So over here, we're going to write plus or minus 11, right? 11 times 11 is 121. Negative 11 times negative 11 is also 121. All right, so there's two options. Anywho, the opposite of minusing 7 is adding 7. So our final answer will be 7 plus 11, so 7 plus 11, that's 18. And then we could also do 7 minus 11, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so that's negative 4. So that's the two places that the parabola, boop, crosses on the x-axis. All right, y'all, talk to you later.